I'm Bob Arum, and I'm with the Fighter's Voice.
My name is Andre Ward.
Knocking out the competition.
Fighter's Voice!
The Fighter's Voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Fighter's Voice. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz. We got a great show for you this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I've been trying to book this guy from day one. I just fell in love with his personality, his energy, his hype. And I'm thinking, man, does this guy just go to sleep or does he just stay awake and drink Red Bull all day? And that's not a plug for Red Bull. And then I'm reading up on this guy. I mean, not only is he a stage actor, writer, director, a motivator. I mean, you give him a concept, an idea. He doesn't just run with it, but he wins it. I mean, now he's taken over Las Vegas, you know, and I'll kind of nickname him the voice of Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the one and only, this is boxing. This is the man with the left hook, the one and only Mr. Mark Shunock.
Thanks for having me on. You should be my agent.
I think I am, man. I'm kind of, you know, I kind of feel your vibe.
I gotta give you 10% from now on.
Yeah, you got it. I'm going to quote you on that, and it is recording, my man.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on, dude. This is awesome.
No, just having you on, man, and the first time that I saw you, I was thinking to myself, okay, Top Rank, they got a facelift. Where is this guy? Now finally some energy, and I'm thinking, man, I vibe off that because people don't like boring. People don't want to sit down, and in between fights, they want to be entertained. And you entertain them, not just from the middle of the ring, but you go out in the crowd, you make yourself presentable as if to say, hey, I can touch a moving object with a microphone, and that's you, Mark. Talk to us about that gig and what it's done for your life so far.
Well, you know, before Top Rank, I was just, you know, a boxing fan, really. And I moved out to Las Vegas to open a Broadway show called Rock of Ages. I was performing nightly at the Venetian, and we'll talk about that. But the Top Rank guys saw me at a Vegas Golden Knights game, which is also another gig that I moonlight at. And they said, hey, come and see what we do with our fights and help us out and be a part of the Top Rank family. And man, did I land with a great group of people. Top Rank is an incredible organization, and just blessed to be a part of the Top Rank family and help where I can. I'm a big fan of the sport. Like I said, before I took the gig with Top Rank, I was a fan of the sport, and I'm learning just like anybody else who gets a new job. You sort of learn as you go, and they've thrown me to the wolves and give me the freedom to create and help be a part of such something special. You know, every fight that they produce, every card that they produce, it's really a special night. And like I said, just grateful to be a part of the Top Rank family.
Well, I know that you're used to the lights. I know you're used to it big time. I mean, I didn't even know you're an actor in theater. What's it like? I mean, live. I mean, isn't it just a rush? But I want you to answer this. What's it like performing live in theater? And what got you into theater? Is that something that you wanted to get into growing up? You said, get into the sports. I'm going to do this acting gig.
You know, it sort of fell in my lap. I'm originally from a small town in Canada. I grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. And like any other Canadian kid, you want to strap on the skates and raise the Stanley Cup. So I grew up around the sport of hockey, played the game as long as I possibly could. And then I moved to New York City when I was 19 years old and really didn't know what I wanted to do. Finished college and just started studying theater in probably one of the greatest cities in our country. New York is a special place, and I was there for almost a decade. And I just got lucky. You know, I auditioned for some projects, and, you know, work begets work in any profession. And it's the same in the entertainment industry. And I was fortunate enough to be able to perform on some of the greatest stages in the United States. And it's what brought me to Las Vegas. So, you know, it's like anything else. You get that nervous energy, that rush. But it's all about preparation. So it's very much like sports. You know, these athletes can't walk into the ring or step onto the ice with preparing and training. And it's no different when you watch a movie or a play in a theater. We go through the same thing. It's, you know, months and years of dedication and hard work. And for theater in general, it's a 3 to 4 week rehearsal process. 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, we're rehearsing the show. And then there's a preview period where there's some invited audiences. We make some changes, and then it's open, and the show's off and running. And like anything else, man, you prepare, you work hard, and you put it up there, and away you go.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to what you're saying, it gets my blood going, man. It's just, I can actually vision this. When you say theater, how much of an impact does the live crowd give you? I mean, you have your lines, you know what you're supposed to do, but is it that like we'll Seattle Seahawks say like that 12th man?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, it's the same. It's the same at fights. I feed off the crowd. The crowd feeds off of my energy. When I first started with Top Rank, I was just the hype guy. In between fights, like you said, I'd be running around the arena playing games with guys, giving prizes away, trying to make that downtime in between fights manageable. Because one thing I didn't know, because prior to my time in Las Vegas, I just watched boxing on TV, just like everybody else on the pay-per-views, and I didn't realize how much downtime there was in between actual fights. And so that was an interesting learning curve for me when I was first invited out by Top Rank to just come out and observe what actually happened. Everything's programmed for TV, for pay-per-view, and so there is some downtime. And so it was kind of nice to just sort of have carte blanche to create content and keep the fans engaged. You're sitting there on your phone half the time anyway, so we want to make sure we can get your attention and just get you excited for the next bout. We do a pretty good job of it. I'm excited for this year. We've got some new tricks to roll out, and we're always trying to come up with new ideas. The crowd is 99% of it for me. I love the energy. I work with the National Hockey League as well. I do the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series. We go out to these big venues and 75,000 people screaming at you. It's a cool experience. So boxing fans, though, are no joke. They know their stuff. I almost wanted to say something else. They know their stuff.
Hey, you can let that tongue roll, man.
Yeah, no, and it's been great. For me, I don't try to pretend to be something that I'm not. I'm not going to compete with these guys who have been working in the sport their entire lives. And to be surrounded by the ESPN crew, Joe Tessitore, Andre Ward, and Christina Poncher, the list goes on and on. These guys have dedicated their lives to the sport of boxing, and to be able to be a fly on the wall and just listen to them. Bernardo Osuna, I've grown to have such a respect for that man. Just to be able to do what he does on the fly. Mark Kriegel doing these incredible reports on these fighters. It's been fantastic. And again, coming from hockey and theater, it's all over the place. But to really learn about these fighters and their families and see what they've been through to get into that ring, it's just been, like I said, kid in a candy store. To be a part of this sport in the way that I am, it's a blessing. And I'm just so grateful every day that I wake up and get to go to work with Top Rank.
Well, you're living proof that you continue to grow and you continue to learn, and you slam dunk these opportunities and you own them and you make them yours. A lot of people, when they get these opportunities, A, they're not ready for them, or B, they may be afraid to take that jump. You dove right into the sharks, right into the ocean. And not only are you swimming, you're like Aquaman. I mean, these animals are talking to you. These fighters, they respect you. And I remember when you started, I was going, I know he has it deep in him. He's just going to let loose, watch. Because
you got to get comfortable with it, right? And first of all, the roster of talent that Top Rank has, not on the broadcast side, but actually in the fighting side, their roster of fighters is no joke with, Bud Crawford and, our new heavyweight Anderson. We got Lopez, who just shocked the world, became a champ, and Shakur Stevenson coming up. To be able to learn about these guys and meet these guys, and you sort of become a part of their world, because I'm a part of Top Rank. So they're always, hey, Mark, what's up? Big hug. And, you're following their social media life. You see their training camps, and, to be able to watch these guys do what they do day in, day out, and dedicate themselves to the sport, and then to meet their families, and it's unreal. And it's something that I've never experienced before. And now 2 years in with this Top Rank family, it's been great.
No, exactly. I've done some Top Rank events and just covering with media, and they are definitely 100% professional, friendly, and they make sure the job gets done. There's no ifs or buts to it, man. And, I would have to say you're surrounded not just among these great athletes, but we're talking about walking, talking Hall of Famers. I mean, you got your Lee Samuels and the Brad Goodmans of the world, and the Bob Arams. How does that make you feel when you know that you have their blessing, and most of all, you have their respect?
Yeah, like I said, kid in a candy store. You know, you're surrounded by legends every day. And like I said, I'm learning. You know, I have so much more to learn about the sport, about behind the scenes. You know, I know what I bring to the table, and, you know, I try to just make sure that I focus on that for right now, and I keep growing within the sport. And, you know, I watch as much of it as I can from all the other promoters and see what they're doing. But, you know, again, Brad Jacobs is who I report to every day, and to have him as a boss is pretty incredible. And, you know, when Bob Arum's down the hall in his office, you're kind of like, wait a minute, is this even real life? You know, and it's so far beyond just the sport of boxing. You know, they're just incredible human beings, and to be able to call them friends is you know, priority one, coworkers second. You know, with everything that's going on in today's world, you know, family first, you know, work second, but it's a pretty small line between family and work when it comes to Top Rank Boxing. And I mean that sincerely. They're just incredible people. And, you know, what they were able to accomplish with the bubble recently, all last year at MGM is second to none. They really set the bar high, not just for boxing, but for every sport. You know, everybody looked at what Top Rank was doing at MGM and how they contained the bubble, or kept everybody safe with the testing and the protocols, and how they treat their fighters. And again, it's just, I could sit here for an hour and just talk about how lucky I am. So, you know, they're just great people, and I'm just so grateful to be in their camp.
No, you're truly blessed. Real quick, ignore that man behind the curtain. KP, I can see you on screen, so maybe the viewers can't, but it's all good. So ignore that man behind the curtain, ladies and gentlemen. Little take from the Wizard of Oz. Hey, but I want to ask you this, man. And what is, I was looking at this, what is Monday's Dark? What's that all about? Talk to me.
So 8 years ago, I came out to Vegas, like I said, to open the show Rock of Ages.
Right.
You know, again, blessed to just sing 80s tunes in a Broadway show, screaming every night. My wife and I decided not long after that we knew we were going to be in Vegas for a little while. The community here really embraced the show. And so Monday's Dark came from the fact that we wanted to give back to the local community. The name comes from the fact that the traditional Broadway schedule, we're dark on Monday. We don't perform. So we perform Tuesday through Sunday, and Monday is our only day off of the week. And so that's where the name came from. And what we did basically is we created this really goofy variety show where we'd get all the entertainers in town from the Strip, some from LA, whoever happened to be in town on that given Monday night. I'd get a band together. We'd put a band up on stage, and you know, we charge $20 to come to this party, essentially, and all of the money would go to a local charity. And so over the course of these last 7 years, it's been around 7 years now, every other Monday, so 2 Mondays a month, we throw this Monday's Dark party, and it's a different local charity every other Monday. And every other Monday, we write a check for $10,000 to that local charity. So I've thrown about 120 parties now, 125 parties. We've raised $1.2 million for Las Vegas, charging $20, you know, and it was just something that we felt we needed to do because, again, now I work in sports, and you can ask anybody who works in sports. It's not a job. It's just an honor. And the same thing in the entertainment business. If you can call yourself a working actor, or if you work in the entertainment business, you're pretty fortunate. It's a lucky place to be able to call work. And so we wanted to give back, and that's really where it stemmed from. And it's just our passion project. You know, everybody volunteers their time, from the band to the crew, myself, my wife, everybody involved. And it's all just about giving back to the community. So that's what Monday's Dark is in a nutshell. We're pretty proud of it. It's just this goofy little underground party. So if you're ever in Vegas on a random Monday night, look us up. We'll be throwing down at this place called The Space, which is a venue that we started here in Vegas. It's a warehouse that we converted. It's a community center, and we're just trying to make sure that we can help the community as best we can. So that's Monday's Dark in a nutshell. And I thank you for asking about it, because it's you know, it's a part of our life that we don't talk about too much at the forefront, but it's a big part of our lives because we know we're helping so many people with it.
You know what, man? I mean, I have the utmost respect for you going into this interview, and now it just went through the roof. It's a slam. that is a strong man. That's like a missionary. That's just strong. That's like ministry. I mean, that's awesome. You're
yeah. I don't go to church, so I guess this is the closest thing that I have to going to church. And it's something it's a well-oiled machine now. We get 400. Before COVID, we had like 350, 400 people showing up every Monday night, packing this warehouse, band, singers, dancers, magicians, comedians. You never know who's going to show up. All the money goes to charity, and the minute that Monday night comes down, the following Tuesday, we're already working towards the next one. And it's every 2 weeks, and Vegas has embraced it, which is great. The entertainment community here in Las Vegas, all the entertainers on the strip, headliners, crew, musicians, you name it, they all know about it. They all want to participate when they get the ask. And that's another big thing. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the support of the entertainment community willing to come out and donate their talent on that given Monday. So mondaysdark.com, shameless plug. You can go to mondaysdark.com and you can see all the charities that we've partnered with, all the shows that are coming up. But it's, again, it's the side hustle, but it's the hustle for something bigger than any of us. We're just helping these charities out because during COVID, all of their events have been canceled. They're, fun runs and banquets and galas, all the things that you hear about these charities doing, they're all canceled. So their fundraising efforts are challenging. So we've been doing this stuff just like this. We're streaming concerts and doing it with limited capacity, following all the CDC guidelines. But every 2 weeks, we write a check for 10 grand to a local charity. Right
on, man. You know what? For a lot, you're heaven sent, my man. You really.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Before I move on, I really don't want to move on from it. There's going to be a big concert or a big fight on Saturday with a hidden talent. These guys are going to have a hidden talent. And they're going to cancel their flight for Sunday. They're going to say, hey, we'll fly out Tuesday because we're staying Monday, and we're going to get back that Monday.
That'd be great.
You're going to see the Bud Crawfords, the Tyson Furies, and it doesn't matter. They can just be there, and people will pay because they just want to see them up front, maybe hands-on with them. So you mark my word, that's going to happen, my man.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We've already outgrown the venue, but we like the fact that we turn people away. It's become this sort of underground Monday night party, and it sells out every 2 weeks. So I like that. We can probably go to a bigger venue, but I like selling out and saying, hey, come back in 2 weeks or just buy your ticket early, something like that,
No, there you go. And what I really want to ask you, man, is you're in front of the light. We talked about that. How do you prepare yourself for theater as opposed, okay, now I'm going to prepare myself because I want to pick your brain a little bit for ring announcing today. How do you prepare yourself? And when you wake up that morning, how do you make that transition? When do you make that transition?
For me, they're pretty much one and the same. It's like anything else. You gotta put the work in. You gotta, do the homework and know what the heck you're talking about. If I say something and it doesn't sound honest or it's not authentic, you're gonna know. So I have a great partner in crime at Top Rank, Evan Korn, who handles all of the PR. He handles all of the
Evan Nader.
Yeah, and so he's been very great with me and sort of guiding me and coaching me and being there. Again, same with Brad and everybody else. But at the end of the day, you got to do your homework. You got to know how to pronounce these guys' names. I'm fortunate that in the bubble, I do the press conference, the weigh-ins, and I've been lately doing the ring announcing. So by the time the fights come around, if I don't have these guys' names down, I shouldn't be doing this. And then, I looked back at the footage from the first time I did this in the bubble to the last weekend in the bubble. And, just my confidence and just sort of the understanding of what I was walking into has changed so much. I've only been, it was my first stab at doing ring announcing. I've hosted many sporting events and have done a ton of interviews, but it's not every day somebody calls you and says, hey man, while we're in the bubble, you're going to be doing our ring announcing. I was like, okay, what does this mean? And luckily, I've been able to sit beside Lupe Contreras for the first year and a half that I was with Top Rank and talk about somebody who's the best and one of the best, yes, if not the best in the business, who just makes it look so easy. And, I count my blessings because I'm here because of the bubble and I live in Las Vegas and, it was an incredible opportunity for me. So, again, just learning as I go, but when it comes to the preparation, it's just literally getting the material, ripping it apart, making sure you're comfortable, finding your rhythm. For me, I like to sing. So for me, I like to try to find the musicality in everything that I say. And, Yeah, it's just, again, just putting in the work and making sure you don't sound like an idiot half the time is pretty much what I keep reminding myself. I'm like, just take a deep breath, don't rush. And, you know, I sometimes think about how I would want to be introduced, you know, if it was me standing there, you know, how I would want, you know, certain emphasis on certain things done. And, you know, I'm finding my groove. Long way to go yet, but, you know, learning on the job, just like others, and just, you know, having a blast doing it.
Well, you know what? You're doing a great job. And a shout out to Loopy. Loopy, my man, we got to have you back on the show. Thanks for sending me that shout out. I appreciate that. When you talk to Loopy, I mean, his voice is he's just amplified. You know what I mean? Like, he has an amplifier.
He's gold. He's golden, man. He is golden.
Yeah. Both English and Spanish. I mean, he hits it, man. So
yep.
You took some advice from someone that's definitely, if not one of the best, in the top 5 of all time.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, you can go back in history too and watch some of the old guys who used to do this. And, you know, even in other sports, I know it sounds, you know, campy, but like even these wrestling announcers and auctioneers, you know, they have such a tone and musicality to the way they say things. And, again, like I said, I'm just trying to find my voice within the sport of boxing and try to create something that's unique for myself. You know, I'm not trying to be anybody else out there because, you know, I can't. You know, I'd be acting at that point. I'd be trying to be a Buffer or Lupe or, you know, but it's just been, it's been a real trip, a real joy. And, you know, who knows what's next? You know, if this bubble disappears, I'm sure things are going to go back to the way they were prior to the bubble. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to take it all in and enjoy it every step of the way.
Hey, man, you do what you love. You never work a day in your life. And it
right.
sounds like you're not working anymore. You're actually retired.
Yeah, it's actually been nice to have a little bit of downtime this December to spend time with my wife during the holidays. And Top Rank, we go back to work in February. We've got some huge fights coming up in February. So, you know, January, I'm spending most of my time here in Vegas getting the Monday's Dark stuff squared away. We've got some other projects that we're working on. But, you know, like I said, I'm excited to get into the ring again and get back to work with Top Rank. There could be some pretty massive fights down the line here in 2021.
Well, you know, you could drop dime on later on. You can email me and say, Rich, these are coming up, but I can't.
I'm sure you'll know before I do. You'll get a press release from Evan before I get the call. I'll be like, hey, Evan, you got a ring sheet for me tomorrow? He's like, oh, yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow morning. I'm like, all right.
There you go. There you go. Actually, speaking of Evan, I'm going to address some of these questions. This question is coming in from Evan from Top Rank.
Uh-oh.
Here it goes. It says, Mark, how does the pressure of announcing in front of a live TV audience compare to being a theater actor?
That's a good question. Evan sent that one in, huh?
Yeah.
I try not to think about it.
Evan's been drinking all night, so just...
yeah. He's texting me for my Netflix password. That's happening right now. You know, I try not to think about it. Just like when you're on stage in front of a couple thousand people in the theater, you know, you're not really paying much attention to them. Obviously, they're there. I try not to think about it because the numbers are a lot higher than what I'm accustomed to, especially when you got Loma Lopez and there's 2 million people tuning in. You know, you try not to think about it. You just say hello to that lens, smile and nod, and keep it moving. It just goes back to what I was saying before. It's preparation, just making sure that you understand, you know, what the message is that you're trying to convey, and make sure you have all your facts. You know, at the end of the day, these guys have records, they have hometowns, there's weights, there's corners. Yeah, I just try to make sure I get them all right.
Well, I'm going to change it up a little bit. This next question is coming from Frank Estea with Top Rank. It says, ask him if he has any stories about the haunting of a cardiac suite.
Oh, wow. You know, that's a touchy subject, Frank. You know, we're spoiled at Top Rank in the bubble. So at MGM, we have a private floor. The 12th floor of MGM Grand is dedicated to the ESPN crew, Top Rank staff, and all the fighters and their camps. I don't have. He's bringing up we had almost a scary moment where we lost somebody tragically on the floor, and so that suite is now we think it's haunted. You see some fighters walk the other direction. Frank won't go near it. I think Frank actually had to spend a few nights in it. He wasn't too happy about it. I try to make sure when I check in, I'm not on that wing of the floor. So if I see that the number is close to that room, I go back to the front desk real quick and I change it and I make sure I'm in the other wing. Because, you know, that the way the MGM Grand is built, it's got one tunnel this way, a hallway that way, another hallway. I stay clear of that hallway. I try not to go near that room. So no crazy stories, but some of the fighters walk in different directions when they pass by the door.
I'm sure they do. This is from a promoter, Rick Morrigan, and manager of Jose Ramirez, and also signed some other fighters like the likes of Virgil Ortiz and the professor, Frosto.
Yeah.
He says, tell Mark that I said hi and that he's one of my favorite personalities in the sport.
Yeah. That's amazing. Hello, Rick. One of the hardest working promoters, I would imagine, in boxing. And, you know, I've only been around the sport, you know, professionally now and working in it a couple years, and just a genuine guy who goes out of his way to say hello. Can't walk by you without shaking your hand and saying, hey. And I think that just right there speaks volumes of who he is. He's really well respected in the top rank world. I know that everybody, when I'm passing down the hall and I hear his name come up, it's always in great standing. And, you know, he works so hard for his fighters. So if there are fighters listening and you happen to be represented by that guy, you know, he's one of the best in the business. So just great guy. And what's up? Thanks for saying, hey, man. I
agree with you. He's definitely somebody you want in your corner or just to associate with. And iron sharpens iron, man. You want to be right there with him.
And he puts on great fights. Like, you know, there's nothing dull about any of his events, man. Like, he just packs it in there. You know, he puts his money where his mouth is. And when I roll up to work and I look around, I'm like, where the heck did all these people come from? And then I'm look down at the sheet and I'm like, oh, it's one of Rick's fights. Yeah, it speaks for itself. He packs them in. He knows what he's doing. And I know he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve. I follow him on social, and he's always thinking outside the box on where to put a fight. You know, where can we host this? Let's do it in this stadium. Let's open up the baseball field. And I'm like, holy jumping. The guy works really hard, and I love going to his events.
Yeah, I like his humor too. It's kind of off the wall sometimes, but you got to look at it twice. You know, like almost like that movie. You got to watch it twice to catch that one scene. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Hey, man. So, any chance of you ever just doing this is one of the questions coming in too, doing an exhibition match, getting in the ring and going on hands-on to feel exactly what the fighters feel? Training.
I think so. I think there's an opportunity for that. I've definitely worked out in the boxing gym here and there. You know, there's a gym here.
Let's do it on a Monday dark, right?
That's right. We'll do it out in the parking lot. Fight Capital here in Las Vegas.
There you go.
You know, I've put on the gloves at Fight Capital a little bit. You know, I got my COVID hair going right now. I haven't shaved. I feel like I'm 20 pounds overweight. I probably should get back in there sooner rather than later. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Put the headgear on and go and do a couple rounds. I think it'd be a blast.
Yeah, I can see you doing it. I mean, you have that personality. You know what? You're kind of compact. You'd be inside fighter.
I might need a
or Robert Garcia's, one of the two.
I might need a step stool or a ladder, depending on who I face. But I definitely would get in there.
No, hey, I could see you in there. I had a conversation with Lee Samuels last week, and your name came up, and he had nothing but good things to say about you. He told me how you were welcome to the Top Rank family, about, you know, the story that you shared with the hockey, and that you were approached and they said, man, we just love his personality, the energy. But I mean, that's coming from a Hall of Famer, man. I mean, that's when you hear that, how does that make you feel knowing, hey, I've only been doing this with Top Rank for only this amount of months or time, and to know that the ball's already spinning in your direction towards one day, possibly the Hall of Fame?
Who knows, man? To have Lee in your camp, you know, we can go on and on about everybody that's in that Top Rank family, but you know, he's one of a kind. He's a Hall of Fame member, and I remember we were in upstate New York not too long ago at I forget the hotel and casino name up there that hosts our fights, but you know, we were in Verona, and the Hall of Fame's just around the corner, and we visited. I bought some merch, and you know, he was there, and again, it's not every day that you get to call these guys friends, you know, and have them support you and believe in what you're trying to accomplish, and then just to welcome you with open arms and be like, hey man, we appreciate what you bring to the table, and thanks for being a part of it. That it's humbling. It's so nice to hear, and he's such a great guy. So you know, tip of the cap to Lee. He's, you know, Hall of Fame. That's all you got to say right there.
Absolutely. Hey, we're gonna switch it back real quick because I wanted to ask you more about your acting career. I mean, talk to us about this role, this award for, you know, Disney's The Lion King. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So, you know, I was blessed to play Timon in The Lion King. Everybody knows the movie, Hakuna Matata. Yep. So I went on the road and I toured with the big production for about 3 years, 2.5 years. And at that time, man, it was almost 15 years ago now. Just time flies. And we spent 3 months at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and that was the first time that I was ever introduced to the Kennedy Center. And, you know, beautiful theater. It's iconic, you know, one of the, you know, best in the United States. And they have an award program called the Helen Hayes Awards. And I was nominated for a supporting role with my role there as Timon in The Lion King. And that it's kind of the first big role for me in the theater world, booking The Lion King and going on the road with that. I didn't win, but it was nice to be nominated. No bullshit, I wanted to win. But it was a great experience, and you know, it's an iconic show. You know, everybody knows The Lion King, whether you saw the Broadway musical or you saw the cartoon. Everybody knows it, and to be able to play the kid who sings Hakuna Matata, you know, it doesn't get any better than that. I have 4 older siblings. I'm the youngest of 5, so I'm the cool uncle in the family, and that was definitely probably one of the highlights. You know, same here. You know, you talk about the jobs that we do for a living. They're not really jobs, but when you can share them and share those experiences with your family and your brothers and sisters and their kids, and you know, the same thing with Top Rank now. You know, my family's still all up in Canada. I've been in the United States now over 20 years. I'm a citizen, but my entire family's still up north, and you know, they get to see me on TV doing goofy stuff. And, you know, I'm still that cool uncle who lives in Vegas. And whether I'm doing a Broadway show or a fight with Top Rank, it's one of the things that I love the most, is that I know that my family's watching and they're proud. You know, we all love our families. We all love our mom and dads. And, you know, that's something that I don't forget when I go to work, whether it's a Broadway show or a fight with Top Rank or an NHL hockey game. You know, I carry my family pretty close to the chest, and you know, so it's something I'm proud of.
You know, I've been to Canada in the winter, and I'll tell you this. I'll best describe it this. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're gonna laugh, okay? I didn't know about the boots I needed boots. I had dress shoes on, and it was so cold that the bottoms of both shoes, they cracked. Both of them just split.
It's because you have nice shoes. You got leather-soled shoes. You got nice shoes.
And I didn't even know I can hit like black ice just when I'm walking on the snow.
Oh, yeah.
Balancing myself, and it was so cold. When I went outside, I can best describe it. It's almost like a slap in the face from the wind. It hits you. And when I brought my phone out to get some like content, I literally, honestly, had to go to the restroom and put water on my hands. That's how cold it was. I had to put the glove on.
Yeah, it's no joke. Yeah, I grew up in a town 5 hours north of Detroit, Michigan. So Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario is right on Lake Superior, 5 hours north of Detroit. And in January, when you walk outside, there's not necessarily wind, but it's so cold that your nostrils immediately freeze.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you see on TV. If you were to take water and throw it in the air, it evaporates. It's so cold. So, yeah, I get you, man. I miss home. I don't miss home January through March.
Yes. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. But I will share with you, I got to see my first hockey game ever. And it was the San Jose Sharks against, gosh dang it, oh gosh. The Blue Guys.
St. Louis Blues?
No, man. Maple Leafs. Sorry, Maple Leafs.
Yeah, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes. So when I'm walking there, there's usually people selling tickets. There's people wanting to buy tickets. Hey, you want to sell your tickets? Hey, you want to sell your tickets? So I go there on my first game ever. I mean, the atmosphere, the energy. I mean, I have a whole new respect for these hockey players. These guys are like 6'5", 6'6", and freaking athletes on the blades. They're like running backs. On the drop of a dime, they can cut, maneuver, and just yes. So long story short, when I go there my first game, I get to see my first fight, and I get to see my first overtime.
There you go.
So after went overtime and nobody scored, so I got to see my first shootout all in my first game.
That's perfect. And you saw it in Toronto, and that's one of the hottest tickets in hockey. You know, the market in Toronto is insane. You know, the Toronto Maple Leafs are a original 6 hockey team in the league, and seeing a National Hockey League game with the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto, there's nothing better.
No, and you see all the banners of all the guys before them back in the day, and it's just you knew you were looking at some art. You knew you were looking at something that just means something. And I'm looking to the left and to the right of all the fans, and they're like boxing fans. They're like football fans. This is their life. They're in it. Like they're on the ice.
Yeah, when you're, I've been fortunate to, obviously work for the Vegas Golden Knights and now with Top Rank. When you're a fan of a sport, it's a lifestyle, and it's incredible to be a part of it. It's one of the things that I love the most about my time with Top Rank is I get to go up in the stands and say hello to people, and they've had a few beers, they're having a good time, waiting for the fight to start, but so knowledgeable and passionate about who's about to enter the ring or take the ice, and it just gets loud. I like it when it's loud. That energy is amazing, and it's what I love about my job. I love giving people the permission to scream and get on their feet and bring it, and it's a pretty cool thing to be a part of for sure.
I bet, man. Just the rush itself, man, and I've had my share, a little taste of it, but it's the best high in the world. Yeah,
it is. Sports live, and really, I'm not a basketball guy. I think it doesn't really get going until the end of the third quarter. But that doesn't exist in hockey. That doesn't exist in boxing. The minute you're in the ring, it's on, and you better be ready to go. Otherwise, you're on the canvas. Same thing with hockey. It's so fast that the minute you step on the ice, you better be ready to go, or you're going to get knocked down, and the puck's going to be in the net. So, yeah, two of the greatest sports to be a part of, and it's just been a trip.
Let me ask you this, man. Have you ever been on TV and you had an itch on your face? What do?
You don't itch it. You got a sneeze coming on. Yes. You got a cough. Yes. You got a little tickle in your throat. You find ways, and it's been exciting to watch the guys from ESPN too, because they have all their little, their superstitions and their routines, and to see what Andre Ward does, or Timothy Bradley Jr. what they do.
Can you share any of them? You don't even have to give their name. Can you share any of them?
There's a lot of Listerine. Those little Listerine strips. Yeah, I see a lot of that circulating. Pre-COVID, everybody was sharing. Now everybody has their own stash. Yeah. There's definitely some specific beverages. Not alcoholic, but everybody has their own thing, whether it's a tea or a sparkling water, Gatorade, nothing really sugary going on back there, but they're all pretty healthy guys. And especially to watch the fighters now get into broadcasting, right? Not so much Joe Tessitore. That guy's a professional. Same with Bernardo. That's what they do. They've been doing this. They got their routines down pat. But to see the fighters, to see Timothy Bradley rehearsing a hit, it's so much fun to watch, because they'll rehearse what they want to talk about before they go live on air, and to watch Timothy Bradley just go through his motions, and he'll start talking. Okay, I got it. I'm good. I don't need to rehearse anymore. I'm good. I got it. It's so great to be able to witness that stuff, and they're just great guys. And one of the nice things about my gig now is I have an earpiece in, so I get to hear them call the fight, the entire fight. So while I'm watching it, I'm actually hearing Tess, Bradley, Bernardo, Mark, Andre, they're all Christina, and they're all calling the fights So I'm watching the fight, and I think I'm seeing one thing, and I'll hear Christina Poncher talk about something else, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know that. I didn't even notice that. So I'm leaning a certain direction. You know, same thing with Andre and Timothy, the way they break it down and call these fights. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned from, is being able to have them in my ear, calling the fight while I'm watching it in real time. It changes the dynamic for me as I'm sitting ringside. So I'm looking for specific things now, and you know, I can watch the guys pretty closely in the corner in between rounds, pick up on certain things, and then, you know, sure enough, you know, 95% of the time these guys are right on the money, and they know exactly what's going to happen the next round. And there he is, guys, KO'd, and if he doesn't change that, he's going to get hit again, and sure enough, he gets hit again. You know, so it's been awesome to have that sort of fly on the wall experience.
Exactly. And here's one. I mean, there's a fight going on. You know it may end soon, but you're like, okay, I could probably hold it one more round. Yeah. Have you ever had to go to the restroom? I mean, too much coffee or something. But you know, if you're back there and that fight ends, you got to call that fight. You got to get back in that ring. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yeah, there's been a few times where I'm like, oh, this one ended pretty quick. You know, especially in the bubble, because it's a different experience where, you know, I'm on a platform away from the ring for the introductions. And then when I call the fight, when I go to the decision or whatnot, I'm on the floor beside the ring. I don't even get in the ring. So I go over to the commission's table, I get the results, walk back over to the timekeeper's table, and I'm waiting for the cue from, you know, ESPN, from broadcast, after the guys do the breakdown of the fight before we go to the cards, or I read the decision. I'll wait for the cue from ESPN. But there have been times where the fight's over in 20 seconds, and I'll, you know, if it's a Berlanga fight, don't go anywhere. You know, the guys knocked everybody out in the first round. I think the longest he's fought is just over 2 minutes. So anytime I learned that one the wrong way, I was like, a minute, this guy's in the ring, just don't go anywhere, just stand here. I don't even wait and sit down by the platform anymore. The minute I introduce the fighters and the bell rings, I just walk over to the commission table and I just wait over there. But yeah, you know, it's been a learning curve, and for me, that's the, you know, one of the things that I had to get quickly under my grasp was this new bubble experience of how the decisions were going to be read, how they're going to be handed down to me, you know, making sure I'm announcing it right. You know, if it's a split or, you know, majority, I don't want to screw that up and, you know, say the wrong things. And, you know, again, mistakes are going to be made. It's inevitable, but the bubble threw us a little curveball at first, and it was just getting the real estate, really walking from over here, going over here, not getting too comfortable, sitting ringside and, you know, keeping eyes on Evan, because I wanted to make sure, I'm like, Evan, this one's going to end soon. Come with me. Make sure I got this one right. And so he would, you know, be at my side, and I'd be like, hey, do I have this written down right? Can I say this? He's like, yeah, you're good. Go. So I always double check, triple check. It's important.
Absolutely, man. Have you ever lost your notes?
No. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
It would just be in your tux pocket somewhere. Or
yeah, right in that jacket pocket, man. I got those Top Rank cards, and usually I have a cheat sheet with me too. So, you know, if I see over you know, and also too, now I pretty much have an understanding of how the fight's going to go. Usually I can tell if it's going to be a unanimous decision, or, you know, rarely do we get anything that's kind of too wonky. But sure enough, in the first month that I was in that bubble, I think I probably had every type of decision under the sun, and it was good, because again, you got to learn, right? And you lean over the commission's table, and she's like, it's a majority draw. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, majority draw? So I'm like, well, how am I going to read these scores to make sure I don't give it away? You know, things like that. And, you know, it's been great, man. So again, I probably said it 10 times in this interview. I'm just blessed to have this opportunity, and, you know, even just being on your show, dude, it's been a trip, and honored to be here.
Hey, well, you know what? We have the platform, and a lot of times when we bring our guests on here, we don't just talk to them about their boxing, or we don't just talk to them about their MMA. We want people to feel comfortable and pull out a lot of times that other interviewees aren't able to pull out, because maybe they got the handcuffs on, or hey, don't ask them that. But we have the freedom here. We've been blessed with the fighter's voice to give the fighter a platform, and you don't need a mouthpiece or boxing gloves to be on the show. You're always a fighter in life. You're a fighter to get that new acting gig. You're a fighter to get that new promotion in work, or you're fighting for your marriage, or you're fighting cancer. We had all the above on the show. So we are truly blessed to to say, hey, thank you, Jesus. We have this platform to give back, this opportunity. You understand?
Yeah, no, it's been amazing, dude. Thank you so much. And, like I said, it's a great sport to be a part of. An even better sport to be a part of when you can say you're part of that Top Rank family. So big tip of the cap to the guys at Top Rank for bringing me into the mix.
That's a great collaboration, man, with them and ESPN. I mean, that was a slam dunk. I mean, that they just worked great together. And if you can watch the other fights and other events, and kudos to them, they do a great job. But there's nothing like the limelight of ESPN and that collaboration with Top Rank Boxing.
And the numbers don't lie. Again, new to broadcast sports in this realm. Up to this point, it's been National Hockey League stuff, Vegas Golden Knights stuff. But when you're starting to see reports come by your desk that 1.5 million people tuned in for this or 2 million tuned in for that, and it's great for the sport. And when I see the fight that just happened on DAZN and see Garcia knocking him out and looking at that division now and these young fighters that are headlining that division, it's great for the sport. Boxing is on fire right now, and to be a part of it in any shape or form, anybody working in boxing in any capacity right now, you've got to be excited for the future of the sport. The talent is unbelievable. And this social media stuff that goes on in boxing is unlike anything else. The following fighters on Twitter is outstanding. Like, that's a sport to itself. And I didn't realize how much they got into it. And it's great. I'm excited for this year. I think we're going to see a lot of big fights get made because the fans want it. I think with what Top Rank's doing on ESPN, what DAZN's got going on, Golden Boy. It's just so exciting for the sport of boxing. And, I know there's critics out there complaining all the time, but I'm like, man, we got no choice now. There's so much talent that every week there's just great fights. And if you're a boxing fan, it's going to be a great year.
You know what? You brought up social media. I'll take this time. I got one more day, man. I'm on timeout. I shared Ryan Garcia's body shot. And Instagram, they took me off for 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and I looped it just to make sure I didn't go over, but I got the email and says, hey, you violated this. So you're going to be off the Fighter's Voice on Instagram for 3 days. So after midnight, I should be back up and running. But I was able to tag you on my other account on Thumbs Up for Richie. So
that's great.
And that flash got hacked.
And what a body shot that was, though. The one that you posted. Like, unreal.
Yeah.
Again, tip of the cap to all these guys. Like I've watched how many fights now, sat ringside for, I can't even count. One punch, I'd be on the canvas. Just a slight miss, and I'd be on the floor. And just seeing that in slow motion and seeing the body, it was just insane.
That was a good fight going in there, and I got to give it to Campbell, man. He came to fight, and I thought he would actually take him into deeper waters, and then a lot of questions would be answered. But hey, Ryan's special. I like to see him move his head more and his feet, but at the end of the day, he did what he had to do at this young in his career. Answered a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I think I'm like everybody else. I wanted to see the fight go a little longer as well, to see what happened, in the 9th, 10th, 11th round. But give him credit, man. He got up off the canvas after 2. I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Second round, he's on the mat. He got back up, and really didn't bother him at all, it seemed. And he probably won. I think I had him winning every round except for 2. And then he put him down with that body shot. I can't wait to see that division, who fights who next, because everybody's calling everybody out now, and let's just hope these promoters can get them done, because who doesn't want to see these guys fight? Everybody wants to see them fight, and I get it. It's a business, but I'm going to hold out and be optimistic that these fights get made, because these guys are just unbelievable athletes.
Absolutely, man. The only times you can see them get done is you go to a video game and you can match them up that way. But right? I mean, because everybody wants what's best for their fighters, and I get it. They have an agent, they got a promoter, they got a manager. You want to make as much as money with the less risk as possible. But at the end of the day, you want that legacy. Some people want that future where they're okay financially set. So I understand and I get it. But the fans, they just want to see rock'em sock'em business in there.
Yeah, 100% too. And you want to see them when they're in their prime, you know, like nobody wants to see 35, 40-year-olds fighting. No offense to the 35 and 40 or 35 to 40-year-olds out there, but these guys are all young. They're in their prime. And, you know, I think Ward, or it might have been Tessitore that said it, and they made a great point. You know, we put so much emphasis on a perfect record in today's day and age, where that 35-0 or 20-0 or 17-0, you know, we put so much pressure on that perfect record that, you know, what's 2 losses? What's a loss? Who cares? You know, it's not, at least I don't think so anymore. You know, like it's all about the quality of the guys you're fighting. And I'd rather see somebody who's 21-3, knowing that their 3 losses were against 3 incredible champs, than somebody who's 20-0 and they haven't fought anybody we've heard of. So I think we put a little bit of, you know, we dangle this carrot about the perfect record a little bit too much, but who cares? You know, I think these fights are going to get made, man. I really do. There's enough money for everybody. You know, I think there's enough money in the sport that everybody can be satisfied. And, you know, even at the heavyweight division, I can't wait to see who our boy fights next. You know, it's been such a wild ride to be a part of Tyson Fury's, you know, last couple of fights, and maybe, you know, that big fight gets made now, and it's just gonna be great. You know, I think this is gonna be a great year of fights.
Absolutely. You know, let's talk about that rock star. We talked about him earlier today. The guy that won't allow you to go to the restroom, because if you do, you're gonna miss the knockout. For Lango, man, let's talk about him and what he's done with his opportunity. And, you know, I think in 2021, you're gonna see him, go 2 or 3, 4 rounds to answer some questions, and then put him so he can break that top 10.
Yeah, he's such a big guy. You know, I think that's really what separates him in that division, is he's a beast. You know, when he stands beside other guys that he's fighting, he's just a monster. And he calls himself that now. Like, he stood up on the ropes the last one and goes, "I'm a monster." I was sitting there going, "I think you are. You're kind of scary. Back up, bro. Back up." Yeah, like anything else, like what I was just saying. You know, he's going to get tougher and tougher opponents as his career progresses. But again, he's put himself in a position that he deserves now that shot at, you know, some elite fighters. The last guy he fought was never stopped. So, you know, I don't know where we go. You know, like I don't know who wants to fight him. That's another question. Like, if I had a belt in his division, I'm not so sure I'm signing up to fight that guy anytime soon.
Well, you know what? Since you asked, I don't know who wants to fight him. I'm going to go ahead and plug this kid from Stockton, California. Kilo the Kid Madera, who's 160 pounds, is willing to move up to 168 pounds. And when I spoke to him, he said, I know I don't just want to fight him, Richard. I'm going to stop him. Wow. So I will give the plug there, because since you did,
I wrote it down. That's why I looked down. I had to write his name down, because now I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, Kilo Madera from Stockton, California. Kilo the Kid Madera. So,
well, anybody from Stockton, I think, deserves a shot. You know, we got a fighter or 2 from Stockton on our roster. You know, so yeah, I wrote it down. Kilo the Kid Madera. But I'm telling you, man, I've been now ringside of 4 or 5 of Berlanga's fights. I think we've had 4 in the last little while, and
he's something special.
He hits hard, and you know, one of the things about being in the bubble with no fans is you hear those punches, you know, and the different weight classes as we've had heavyweights in the bubble, you know, all the way down to 112, you know, 111, and those thuds that he throws out there, you hear them, they echo through the conference center at MGM. So he hits hard. He hits really hard.
Definitely, before his career is all said and done, I can see him fighting at light heavy, even as high as possibly cruiserweight. I mean, shoulders are like bowling balls, man.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've you know, noticed a lot too is just this ability to stay in your division, you know, especially with the younger fighters, right? Because you know, they're not even men yet, half of these guys, and you know, they're fighting in weight classes that they just outgrow and they just get bigger. They put on more muscle. They become manly men, you know, and they get stronger. They punch harder. And they just move on into another division, and being able to witness that with some of these fighters, it's just it's crazy. You know, they're kids, and yet they carry themselves so well, and they're dedicated to their profession, and been unbelievable to watch some of these young guys just move up and just constantly get better and better at what they do. Just like, you know, everything we do, you know, we're always trying to improve and get better. And it's been an unreal ride.
Hey, Mark, you mentioned Stockton, California. I can't go on without mentioning, at one point was the youngest ever to be signed by Top Rank, and that's young Gabriel Flores Jr. from Stockton, California, who's now residing via Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yep.
Before we talk about,
he's unreal, dude. He was just in the bubble with us this last fight because he's, like you said, he's now in Vegas. And again, talk about a kid who understands what it takes to get it done. He does, you know, and he's here now in Vegas training full time, and he just gets it. And watching, you know, again, just the short time that I've officially been with Top Rank, but even prior to that, you know, watching some of his earlier stuff to see where he is now, it's just Stockton's king, man. Like he gets it. He's fighting with purpose. You know, he carries his family on his shoulders, which I respect. We like I said earlier, we all love our families. We all love our brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, and he's committed to his family. He's got great people around him, and I just love. He was sitting ringside with me. Just our last fight of the year, and just so great to have him as a friend. You know, we text every now and then, but having him in Vegas is pretty cool because you get to see him a little bit more often, and you can watch his training. And great kid.
And also let's not fail to mention his pops, who's very animated, Gabriel Flores Sr. We give out awards at the very end for interview of the year or trainer of the year and so forth, and he was definitely hands down interview of the year. Yeah. And his runner-up was himself. Was it the one we had last March, or was it the one that we had in June of himself? So either way, nominees are Gabriel Flores Sr., Gabriel Flores Sr., and your winner is Gabriel Flores Sr.
That's great. You know, hey, listen, my dad is my biggest fan, right? So I get it. You know, I've got an 80-year-old father who loves me dearly, loves tuning in to every fight, watch every hockey game, never missed a show at the Venetian. He didn't care what I was doing. He was there. Sport of boxing is no different, man. Like, it's his son, and his son is a special kid and has incredible talent. So I don't blame him whatsoever, and I welcome it, and I want more of it. You know, we can say the same thing about Lopez's dad, Senior. You know, just same thing. He's on the edge of the ring. I'm the greatest trainer ever. I'm like, you know what? You go do you. And they deserve that. You know, they put in the long hours. They drove their kid to the gym. You know, it's like the memories I have as a kid. My parents getting up early and getting in the cold weather, putting my hockey bag in the car and driving me to the rink at 7 a.m. You know, they put in the hours just like I did. So, you know, there's something special about the father-son relationship in boxing, I think more so than any other sport. And I welcome more of that, I think. And you know who does a great job of that is Mark Kriegel. You know, he does so much behind-the-scenes reporting and storytelling on these guys and their relationships. And if you're not following him, follow him, because he makes these stories come to life in ways that most people can't.
You know, I've watched him do his interviews, and I study him. Just like back in the day, I used to study Big George Foreman, when to look at the camera, when not, when to look at as your guest, or when you're interviewing somebody. And he's just an absolute professional. I mean, he doesn't even need notes. I mean, he has everything right here, and just I can imagine the way he prepares himself. And you know,
they're documentaries. You know, every time you watch one of these interviews or these stories that they put together on ESPN, they're straight up documentary films, and he's fantastic at it. And it opens your eyes and your understanding for these guys and the sport in a way that I don't think anybody else is doing right now. You know, you see specials here and there, but nothing to the extent and to the depth that Mark does. You know, it's pretty special. And for somebody who's now working professionally in the sport and looking to grow and keep learning, I don't have to look very far. You know, and that's again, beating a dead horse, but that's a testament to who Top Rank lets into their camp. And like I said, when I get to go to work and listen to guys like Joe Tess and Andre Ward and Timothy Bradley, Christina Poncher, Bernardo Osuna, Lupe Contreras, Mark Kriegel. These guys are all Hall of Fame bound, if you ask me. They're great at what they do, but they're passionate about it, And like you said, it's not a job; it's a blessing, and I'm just honored to be a part of that little family.
And plus, he's fit, just like these fighters are. My man, the guy, he's shredded, man.
Ripped. Yeah.
He is. And you mentioned Christina Poncher. I can see her with an announcement saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hall of Fame, Miss Christina Poncher." She's been on the show a couple times, and she is just a professional. I would never, ever, and I made it a point to say, Christina, you're not good at what you do for being a female. You're just good at what you do because she's so passionate about it. And prior to that, she used to do some stuff with the NFL, and she just has that drive about her, just that witty, just that, that it factor.
She puts in the work.
Yes.
Like anybody else. You can't fake it.
No.
You just can't fake it. And she puts in the work. And again, honored to be a part of that small team. I learned from everybody. Everybody on that crew brings something so unique to it. And, I just, like I said, I'm a fly on the wall half the time, just watching in the corner, taking notes on everything they do. But Poncher and I have a great relationship. She'll text me. We talk a couple times before each fight now when we're in the bubble. Because she's doing the call off site. She's in California at the studio, and, we're here in Vegas, and we'll touch base either, prior to the weigh-ins or prior to the fights, just to, simple things like, hey, how do you say this kid's name? What do you do? And there's so many notes and things behind the scenes that are circulated. ESPN puts out breakdowns and biographies and histories and all this stuff. So again, really spoiled to have what I have at my disposal. And, I just roll up my sleeves and go to work.
We've had her on the show, and then when she was off, we shot 2 back-to-back. We had Evan on the show. And then I'm talking about Jamal Herring. Well, I said Jamal real fast. I get a text from her. She's sitting and she goes, "Rich, it's Jamal. Make sure
it's Jamal."
And I'm looking at it right there. I'm like, okay. So I kept going. So I appreciate the professionalism and just looking out for one another, anybody that gets behind the stick, Yeah. You got to respect it. And iron sharpens iron, man. I rub off. I mean, you guys rub off on me, man. So I'm getting as much as I can from you guys. Every time that we talk, every time we have a show, I continue to learn and I continue to want to grow towards that. Our goal, is just trying to give everybody a platform nationally.
This has been fantastic, man. I can't thank you enough. And, thank you for your support. Thanks for reaching out. It's like I said, I'm rolling with it. Honored to be a part of this boxing community. And, again, like I said, I'm learning as I go and taking it all with a grain of salt. And what you just said is pretty much how we've all been at Top Rank. The guys have embraced me and just guided me and helped me, and I'm just grateful.
Well, listen, man, before you're a stunt double for Mark Wahlberg, how do we stay in contact with you, man? How do we follow you on Instagram and Twitter? Yeah,
it's just my name. It's Mark Shunock. All my handles are just my name, Mark with a K. Shunock is SHUNOCK, spelled not like it sounds, but I'm not hard to find. And, definitely stay on me. And what's great about the boxing fans is they let me know when something slips or something's amiss. I see it on social. I'll get a DM from some haters every now and then, and it's welcomed, man. You gotta stay on your toes. You gotta keep learning, and I'm not by any means finished yet. I'm still finding my way. I'm trying to find who I am in this boxing community, and I'm excited for the next part of this journey, and we'll see what this year brings, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm up for the challenge and just excited to get back in the ring.
Hey, man, I've been wanting to throw out that Mark Wahlberg since the kind of see a little bit. Maybe the beard.
Maybe it's the long hair. Maybe, I don't know. I need a haircut. I got to shave, but I got a few weeks before the next fight, so I'm going to let it go for a little while. I'm going to enjoy it.
Hey, man, well, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to have you back. We got to get some of those guys on the show as well. And hey, man, I appreciate you letting people know, man, that we're out here, and sky's the limit 2021. And we're going to be swinging for the fences just like you, Mark. And
you got it, man. It can't get any worse than it was last year, knock on wood. We're gonna slowly start to see things get better, I think. I I wish everybody, you know, health and happiness this year. That's first and foremost. You want to stay healthy, you want to stay happy, hug your loved ones, and you know, everything will work itself out. I'm a firm believer in that. And again, just thank you so much for allowing me to come on and talk. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hey, well, you got it. And if you're out there, you caught the end of the show, you can catch us. Go to the YouTube channel, The Fighter's Voice, www.youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you. It's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember, it's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole ESCOVEDO, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.